Hi, I'll try to sum up the changes in the customs law in a simplified manner. We could effectively sum up the customs changes as the GST in customs, broadly intended to cover the simplification measures, the tariffization as we call it, and of course the googly. On the simplification front, the Honorable Finance Minister, in her speech in budget of 2021, had stated about the need for rationalization in customs on account of a lot of exemptions being either outdated or outliving their utility. In line with that, a lot of changes have already been done by removal by way of exemptions, essentially through crowdsourcing and inputs from the various ministries. Last year, in the budget speech, it was mentioned that around 400 exemption entries will be reviewed. And the effect of that in the current budget speech, we see 350 entries are going to be gradually phased out. To avoid recurrence of a similar problem where the entries could become outdated, we already have an introduction of Section 25(4)(a) in the Customs Act last year, which effectively limits the validity of conditional exemptions up to 31st March, immediately following 2 years from the date when such benefits are granted. Of course, there are exceptions to this where such benefits are granted on account of commitments to free trade agreements or information technology agreements or benefits in pursuant to foreign trade policies such as advance authorizations. On the tariffization front, last year itself, the finance minister had mentioned about the need of putting in a revised custom structure which should be free from distortions by October 21. A possible step in that direction seems to be to move a lot of exemptions directly to the tariff itself. And a twofold change has been announced in this regard, where there is no change in the effective rate. The exemption entries are removed and changes are made in the tariff itself. These changes are going to be effective from 1st May 2022. And where there is a change in the effective rate, simultaneous changes by way of exemption entries as well as the tariff is made. So the exemption becomes effective from 2nd February. And as soon as the tariff becomes effective from 1st May, these exemption entries will be removed. The googly, of course, is the clause 96 of the finance bill, which effectively validates a lot of acts of the past which were held otherwise by the honorable courts. A perfect example of this is about an officer of the DRI being the proper officer for the purpose of issuance of a notice. Honestly, with the large amounts at stake, while the heart felt that such an amendment is not there, in the back of the mind, one always knew that this was on the cards. However, on the whole, one could say a step in the right direction to move again towards GST, which is a good and a simpler tax regime.